Would you believe me if I told you that over 40% of murders in the United States go unsolved? Imagine the countless stories and secrets that remain hidden in the shadows. You may know one famous unsolved murder case of the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer has been confirmed to have killed at least 5 victims starting in Northern California between 1968 and 1969, almost being caught one time, but due to one of the witnesses saying he was black, they didn't stop him because he was white. Another famous unsolved murder case was Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper was a killer that was confirmed to murder at least 5 people in 1888 in London. Despite many investigations and theories, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains a mystery, even to this day. This brings me to the topic of my speech, unsolved mysteries. The pursuit of solving these mysteries often leads to advancements in technology and methodology. For example, forensic science has made significant strides due to efforts to solve cold cases. These advancements have helped solve many cold cases from even decades back. The purpose of my speech is to inform you of unsolved mysteries and how advancements in forensics have helped solve cold cases. To do so, I will explain the role of forensics and DNA and how they play a part in solving cases. I will also examine cold cases and how the development of forensics helps solve these cold cases, and examine DNA analysis and how that has advanced through the years. In the 1960s, approximately 10% of cases went unsolved, and then in the 80s, approximately 30% of the cases went unsolved. And now, in most recent years, over 50% of cases in the United States never get solved. Many already existing cold cases never get solved, leaving the families without answers. There are many factors into reopening a cold case that may include legal procedures, police funding, racial issues, and even how the crime is committed. This all plays a role, and it's very true, especially when examining cold cases. Cold cases today, however, we can see a significant increase in cold cases, even though our technology has developed greatly over the years. In today's cold cases, there's lack of evidence to test and little to no witnesses have suspects. And when it comes to cold case homicides, one of the barriers to solving them is simple and fundamental: the murder weapon. Murders committed with guns and other firearms are more difficult to solve than those committed with other types of weapons. The New York Times noted that cities with fewest shooting deaths have a higher rate of solved murders. The New York City cleared 86% of murders in 2019, but only 54% of murders in the city that year were committed with firearms. Along with this, there's much less DNA to find and test when there are cases with a firearm. However, there are cold cases from decades ago that are starting to be solved in the 20th century due to the advancements of technology in forensics. Forensic investigate genetic genealogy, or FIGG. It's been an instrumental part in cracking hundreds of cold cases and ongoing investigations. Court documents show that it was used to connect Bryan Kohberger in the University of Idaho murders in November of 2022, which a lot of you are aware about. Prosecutors say law enforcement used the FIGG to link Kohberger to DNA found on a knife sheath left at the home where the 4 students were killed. FIGG was also used on an older case back in 1987. A 65-year-old woman named Joyce Casper was abducted outside of a store and later found strangled. She had also been sexually assaulted. Her case went cold in 2023 when they used the suspect's DNA from the scene to upload it to a database to find a family tree. Police found the suspect's 2 sons and, with their consent, used their DNA, and it was a match. With this understanding of the development of forensics, let's consider the benefits and drawbacks of forensics and DNA analysis. What are forensic investigators able to do now, which they couldn't before, you might ask? Well, to start, Bodden said investigate techniques have become more efficient, rapid, and more sensitive, which require less samples. However, over the years, DNA evidence can be lost, compromised, or simply thrown away because of lack of forensics facts then. It may have seemed unimportant to keep DNA back then. More challenges that many come across when reviewing is getting all of the information and evidence lined up. Angela said in one of the interviews, when asked about the challenges of reviewing cold cases, find out what exhibits might still be available to examine in the case. That can be really difficult. There are several cases that we've worked on where we've been back and forth to the Forensic Science Service, or FSS, archive, and they're telling us, no, you have it all, you haven't gotten anything else, but where we know they must still have something else because it says so in the original case notes. Usually they find it in the end. You have to gather all of these items together and then look into how they've been treated over the years. If they have been in and out of their packaging and handled tests during the course of successive reinvestigations, there could be a potential question of contamination of one item by another. This is something you have to be really careful about. You have to be absolutely certain about anything you intend to present as evidence, including making sure that contamination couldn't have played a part in it. Then you have the issue that the person who examined the items first probably had the best fits in relation to evidence, so you have to be more imaginative about where you look for samples to test new evidence. It could be a good idea to look for things that the original scientists didn't analyze or look in different places. Forensics and other developments over the years have played a big part in solving cold cases. In the last 6 or 7 minutes or so, I have addressed the pros and cons of forensics in cold cases, talked about how big unsolved mysteries, and shared statistics of unsolved cases now and in past decades. In this speech, I have informed all of my listeners of major cold cases and how the development of forensics has had a big impact in cold cases. Even though not all cold cases have been solved, the continuous development of science has helped many families get answers after years and even decades of wondering. Thank you.